Hi book lovers, it's Jenny at Julie and Baby Jen's Reading Room, and this is my wrap up for Beat the Heat Readathon.
Busted!
Okay, so I showed you 2 weeks ago a huge stack of books that I wanted to read for the readathon, and I think I did pretty good. I didn't read them all, but I did read quite a few, and I threw a couple in the stack that weren't in there previously, so yeah, it went really well. I was pretty proud of myself. The last couple of days, yesterday I did really good, but the last like 2 or 3 days I kind of slacked off a little bit. I think I was starting to get overloaded with reading, but I did read every single day, so that's good. I'm just gonna go through what I read. I'm not gonna get too bogged down on page numbers. I'll tell you my total page count at the end. First of all, I read 2 ebook novellas, so they were short stories. I read Wool by Hugh Howey, and I really did like this, and I downloaded the second part of the book, and I need to read that because I really liked it. I read Crossing the Line by Katie McGarry. This is a short story novella about Lila, Echo's best friend, and it was really good. I enjoyed it. And while I'm doing ebooks, I'll continue with my full-length ebooks. I read Pivot Point by Casey West, and I loved this book. I've only heard good things about it so far. Everybody I've talked to has loved it, and I loved it too. It was so good. And then I read The Sun Dwellers by David Estes, and I loved this one as well. It was kind of the finale for the trilogy, but there's still one other book that comes out in September that ties up this series plus its sister series, so I can't wait to read that. But yeah, this book was crazy good. Alright, audiobooks, I listened to a few. I finished Odd Thomas by Dean Koontz. This was a reread for me. I love this book. I love this series, and yeah, this was just as good. The third or fourth time, I can't remember how many times I've read it. But it was really good as an audiobook, and I cried like crazy at the end, like I always do. I also started Tiger Lily by Jodi Lynn Anderson. I haven't gotten very far into that yet. I haven't been, it's in my van that I listen to when I drive, but the last few days my husband's been taking the van and I've been taking the Suburban, so I haven't had it to listen to. Then I read This Is What Happy Looks Like by Jennifer E. Smith. I returned that back to the library already, but I did really like that one. And I also read Rise by Anna Carey, which I returned to the library, and that one disappointed me quite a bit, which was kind of a bummer. Incorrigible Children of Ashton Place, The Mysterious Howling by Mary Rose Wood. I enjoyed this one. This was a really cute children's book. It's a trilogy, and I'm going to pick up the other 2 when I go back to the library, because yeah, I enjoyed this. The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. I was in the middle of it before the readathon, but I finished it, and I loved it. There were so many good books I read in this readathon. I was really happy with my reading choices, but yeah, this book was just amazing. And talk about crying at the end of the book. Holy cow. Life as We Knew It by Susan Beth Pfeffer. I was in the middle of this one as well before the readathon, but I finished it and I enjoyed it. It wasn't the best dystopian I've ever read, but I did like it. Keeping the Castle by Patrice Kendall. I really enjoyed this one too. This was a really cute little historical fiction book. Reminded me a lot of Jane Austen, but just hilariously funny. Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. Oh my goodness, I loved this book. I keep saying this, but it's true. I read some really good books. This one was another 5-star read. It was a really good fantasy. I just love really good fantasies, and I'm just so thrilled when they pan out and they're everything I hope for in a fantasy, and this one was so different. And I just really loved it. I need to read the sequel. Fear of Darkness, Book 2, The Stormbringers by Philippa Gregory. Another really good historical fiction book with a little bit of a fantasy thrown in, and I really enjoyed this one. Quarantine the Loners by Lex Thomas. This one was really good. It reminded me a little bit of Variant and kind of Gone as well. It's the same type of an idea, like a Lord of the Flies dystopian basically, with zombies and diseases and all kinds of things thrown into it, but it reminded me of Variant because they were in a school, but they weren't nearly as well organized as Variant. And I found out something really interesting. Lex Thomas is actually a pen name. It's Lex Harabi and Thomas Voorhees, and oh, you can't see that. you go. You can see them now. So they combined their names. They write together. So they wrote the series together, and so that's Lex Thomas. So that's interesting. The Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater. I just finished this last night, and it was a really good book. I think I'm going to give it 4 stars. It was, it wasn't quite a 5-star read, but it was still really good. It was different and totally different than what I'm used to. It had that fantasy element, but it felt more realistic within the fantasy, so that was different. The characters were great. It was a heartbreaking story. So yeah, and the setting was cool. It was just really good. So yeah, this is definitely worth the read. There's this one last night too, Fear by Michael Grant. Fear by Michael Grant. Yeah, I gave this 5 stars. This is my favorite so far of the Gone series. This was really crazy good. It was, oh my gosh, it was insane at the end. I have Light on my shelves, and I just want to pick it up and read it, but I have to wait for my friends. But yeah, this was really good. I can't wait till they finish it and we can compare notes. The Wide Window by Lemony Snicket. This is the 3rd book in a series of unfortunate events. This was not on my list, but it's due at the library. I didn't realize it. Tessa had just finished it, so I'm like, oh, gotta read it real quick. They don't take very long for me to read, maybe 45 minutes. So I hurried up and read it yesterday, and it was good. The series just seems to be getting a little better and better. Iceland Poe by Lauren Oliver, one of my favorite authors. This is a children's book of hers, and it was really good. I really liked it. It was a good little children's book. It totally had me engaged the whole time, and I think I read it straight through. So yeah, it's got a little bit of magic and children running around and miscommunications going on and things like that, and really evil people and what you would want in a children's book. So yeah, I liked it. Games by T. Michael Martin. I was in the middle of this one before the readathon, so I just had to finish this as well. And this one disappointed me just a little bit. It wasn't horrible read or anything, but it just wasn't anything I was jumping up and down over. So I just didn't connect with the style very well. Forest of Hands and Teeth by Carrie Ryan, and I really enjoyed this one. This is a 4-star read. It's a really good zombie dystopian. It was creepy and scary, and yeah, I really need to read the rest of this series. So yeah, I've heard this is good, and it didn't disappoint me. It was a good zombie dystopian read. And then I also started my reread of Inkheart by Cornelia Funk. I haven't finished it yet. I am on page 235. So almost halfway through. I got caught up in a lot of other books, so it didn't get quite finished yet. So that is a total of 20 books that I finished during the readathon, which 2 of them were e-novellas, but still, that's really good. So that made my goal. I say I always want to read 10 a week. Well, I read 20. So I did it. Although I know some of them were children's books and easier to read, but that's okay. So my total page count for 2 weeks in a readathon was 5,881 pages. Woo! That's pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with myself right now. So yeah, that's awesome. Found another readathon to do in August. The Bout of Books 8.0 readathon starts August 19th, so in a week. It's in a 1-week readathon, so I'm going to go ahead and do that as well, and hopefully get caught up on all my reading. I checked out some new library books, so I have plenty to read, and keep the reading streak going. You guys are all having a great August, and I will talk to you later. Bye!
Busted!